Hey there, Baby Yoda fans. As you can see, I've got him laid out on the surgical table here. Thought I would go over a little bit of the components that I used to create this little guy. So I've used the Hasbro version. Taking it apart, it's pretty neat. On the inside, it uses one motor to control all of its motion. So it did have an attachment here that went to one of the arms that actually makes it come up and down, and then the eyes are controlled with the motor, and then also the ears, and it uses kind of what I can see, try to figure out is a cam system on the inside, which is pretty cool. So see the wheel system that I replaced. I've replaced the battery with this set of wheels here, and then I've got a voltage regulator on the inside because I wanted to use a replaceable 7.5 volt battery, and then the servos, and the system looks like it can run on 6 volts, but I've got it these motors running on 5 volts, so I just powered everything off of 5. And then I've got a speed controller here that's controlling the 2 motors, and then I added servos to the arms so I can get more control on those. And then I'm using this is one of the Farsky X8R receivers, and then that's the power on and off switch that it's there, and it has a little fuse in it, which is pretty cool. It's got a resettable fuse, so that kind of helps with the entire system now. And then it also I've also got one of the Pico switches in here, which activates the sound for him. So I'll go over a little more of the components I'm using. So the ESC that I'm using is this one from FPV King, just bought off Amazon. So that's that one. The little wheel system I bought was just a little robot kit that you can see here. And then basically gutted that and just used the little platform and used the motors in those. Maybe a better way to do that, or cheaper, but that's what I used. And then that's the receiver that I'm using. And then you can see, that's the Pico switch. And then this was the little kit that came. Pretty cool little kit. I hated to chop it all up, but for 29 bucks, it had everything I needed in it, so it was quick and easy. And then I'm just using the X7S transmitter. So in the beginning, I had put the wheels around I swapped them around and had the wheels in the back, but he was too front heavy in that orientation, so I had to swap it around and put the wheels in the front. So that's why I ended up having to cut all of that section out. So I did get rid of his feet, which had the batteries in it, which I didn't need those anymore because I'm using the 7.5 volt battery there. And basically, like I said, I gutted everything off of this board, just kept the motors, and then hardwired the speed controller into those motors, and then that goes directly into the receiver. And then I've got the 2 servos connected directly into the receiver, and then the power coming from the voltage regulator. And then I've also got the Pico switch wired into this channel. The reason for the Pico switch is, don't know much about the electronics on how it's controlled, but it has a sensor on top, so when you touch it, basically just adds a ground path or breaks the ground path, and then the electronics in here sense that touch, and that's how the toy works itself to activate the sound and the movement. So I just added a wire in, so whenever the Pico switch activates, it acts like, it just adds a little bit of, even without having an additional wire connected to the other side, it adds enough load to that system to activate the sound. So that way I can activate the sounds with just a switch on the remote. And then I've got the arms right now just on a switch, so they go up and down, but I'll eventually add those to the stick so that I can get a little bit finer control movements on there. As far as making him walk, what I did is just program the remote to be able to, this makes the motor, left motor drive forward, right motor drive forward. So he can just walk back and forth. And then it's just a really slow little movement, and then he just moves like that. And then I added these pieces of styrofoam, just super glued on there, so that he actually gets that little rocking motion when he walks. So adds a really nice effect to that. All right, well, that's basically it. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments.